Let's talk Tanya for the 9th of Nisan of a leap year. In yesterday's Tanya, we explained that Ahava and Yira, our feelings of love for God and our awe and reverence for God, are the wings that take the mitzvah and allow it to soar to the higher worlds. In today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, but one second, Ahava and Yira themselves are mitzvahs. The Torah, one of the mitzvahs in the Torah is we have to love God. One of the mitzvahs in the Torah is we have to have Yira, we have to have awe for God. So it would seem that Ahava and Yira, as independent mitzvahs, have independent value. And yet the Alter Rebbe says, you might want to say surprisingly, it's a chiddush, that no, Ahava and Yira on their own are not an avodah. These are not part of our service of God. They are service mitzvahs, meaning that they are there to bring us to study Torah and do mitzvahs. On their own, they don't have value. He gives an interesting analogy. He says that someone who only has feelings for God, someone only has, I said, yeah, I love God, I have respect for God, I revere God, but doesn't actually use those feelings to motivate him or her to study Torah or do mitzvahs, it's comparable to someone who is standing in a river and screaming, water, water, I'm thirsty. Does anyone know where there's water? I would love to have some water. The same thing is also our feelings for God. Those represent our thirst for God. But if we're thirsty for God, we want to be close to God, but we're not actually studying Torah or doing mitzvahs to quench that thirst and to be able to experience God, it's like we are in water, right by the water, even in the water, but we're screaming, we're thirsty, we want water. Which is why there's a pasuk, a verse in Yeshaya, where the pasuk says, Hoi kol tzamei l'chu lamayim, which means, hey, whoever's thirsty, go to the water. And the obvious question is, that's wisdom? Like, obviously, anyone who's thirsty will go to drink water. But the answer is, there are some people who are thirsty. What are they thirsty for? They are thirsty for God. And they're unaware of the fact that the water to quench that thirst is Torah, is mitzvahs. And the Navi is saying, if you're thirsty for God, you have those feelings, you love God, you have awe for God, l'chu lamayim, go to the water. Go quench that thirst through studying Torah and through doing mitzvahs. With this, we have concluded chapter 40 of Tanya. With this, we have concluded, actually, you might want to say, a mini segment of 6 chapters of Tanya. We started with chapter 35. 35, 36, and 37 of Tanya spoke about Dira b'tachtonim, the importance of making for God a dwelling place over here in this world, and that is specifically through the physical mitzvahs. And then we have the next 3 chapters, 38, 39, and 40, which we just concluded, where there the Alter Rebbe says, yes, the action is very important, but feeling is also important. The feelings are important because they add a spiritual content to the action, and they allow the revelation of the godliness over here in this world. Again, the most important thing always is the mitzvah, to do the mitzvah, but we try to enhance the mitzvah and enhance the revelation within the mitzvah through the feelings that we have, the feelings of ahava and yira, love and awe. Now, we understand why we need to have spiritual content to the mitzvahs. That's what we explained over the past few days. Spirituality is a conductor for the revelation of the divine. But the question still remains, why do we need to have 2 wings? Why do we have to have love and awe? I understand that my mitzvah has to have a spiritual basis to it in order to facilitate the revelation of God, but why isn't love enough? Why isn't awe itself enough? Why do we need to have both of them? And the answer to that question, the Alter Rebbe, we will talk about that extensively in the upcoming chapter, in chapter 41.